Kovno Ghetto by Yoni Katz, Ezra Levy, and Shoshana Solomon.
Between 1920 and 1939, Kovno, located in central Lithuania, was the country's capital and largest city. It had a Jewish population of between 35,000 and 40,000, which was about one-fourth of the city's total population. On June 22, 1941, Russia invaded Lithuania. The occupation was accompanied by arrests, confiscations, and the elimination of all schools, synagogues, hospitals, and businesses. Jewish communal organizations disappeared almost overnight. During this time, hundreds of Jews were also deported to Siberia. Germany invaded Russian-occupied Lithuania on June 24, 1944. The Lithuanian Activist Front and many other people began to attack the Jews in Lithuania and spread propaganda. Hundreds of Jews were taken to the city center and killed. By July, the Einsatzgruppen began to systematically kill Jews in the forest or in Kovno. The Nazis established a civilian administration under Major General Hans Kramer. Between July and August 15, 1941, the Germans concentrated the remaining 29,000 Jews in a ghetto established in Slobodka.
So, day-to-day life was not easy in Kovno Ghetto. And although in 1941 the huge amounts of killings had gone down, life in the ghetto had not gotten any easier. As most ghettos were, there was treacherous labor, in particular for the German army, which was of course hard and very stressful. Women in the camp would struggle to have babies, as when they hit 7 months pregnancy, the Germans would kill their child. And if they were able to get through pregnancy, hiding the baby was just as hard. If any people were able to survive this treacherous labor, the lack of food would cause starvation and sometimes even disease, as some people would only intake 250 calories per day. The only upside, you can say, is that they had some concerts and lectures, but if you can infer, they must have been very poor. And unfortunately, in 1943, the camp became a death camp called Cowan concentration camp, which made life that much harder. And most people were either killed or sent off to Auschwitz.
Important things in the Kovno Ghetto were taken care of by a council of elders, which was chaired by a man named Dr. Elchanan Elks. The Council of Elders is also known as the Altestenrat. They created the Jewish police, which forced the Jews to work and were responsible for the general maintenance of the ghetto. The Council of Elders also ran important infrastructure, such as a hospital, a soup kitchen, an old age home, and a school. They were also responsible for other cultural things in the ghetto, including an orchestra which did concerts for the Jews there. The Jewish police and the Altestenrat also supported underground resistance groups in the ghetto.
There were about 40,000 Jews in Kovno. Kovno was a center for learning. The city had almost 100 Jewish organizations, 40 shuls, 4 high schools, a Jewish hospital, and Jewish-owned businesses. So there were many Jews in the ghetto. As you can think, lives for the Jews were just as hard, if not harder, but some managed to do some daily obligations. For example, there is evidence that Jews publicly lit menorahs, wore tzitzit, and even ate kosher if possible. There was also a sefer Shalotu Teshuvot Mi Mamakim, written by Rabbi Ephraim Oshri. I was written in this camp, that is still well known today. There are also 5 essays full of halacha that were written in the ghetto.
Although there was no official ghetto uprising, Many Jews living in the ghetto participated in underground training and secret alliances with the Russians. The Jewish Fighting Organization successfully let 300 Jews escape the ghetto. The Jewish Council of Elders and the Jewish police in the ghetto also participated in these resistance efforts to help Jews in the ghetto.
In 1943, 3,500 Jews were deported to many camps. On October 26, 1943, 2,700 Jews were separate between fit, elderly, and weak and were deported to Auschwitz and Estonia. On July 8, 1944, the remaining Jews were deported to Dachau and Stutthof concentration camps. As a final push, the Nazis completely destroyed the ghetto by throwing grenades and dynamite and killing up to 2,000 Jews. When the Soviet Army liberated Kovno on August 1st, 1944, 500 Jews had survived by hiding in the forest or in bunkers, while the Germans evacuated the final 2,500 Jews to concentration camps in Germany.